This was one of the first cars brought to North America for racing. The soldiers coming home from World War II brought these cars back with them. And it just started a whole new era in motor racing in North America. I bought this car because it was raced by a famous Canadian by the name of Tommy Holm. Tommy was famous for being such a daring driver, for beating cars that were faster than him. It was said that when he went around corners, you could see the inner tubes in the tires. After beating a lot of cars here, he went down to the States. He was clocked in Grand Island in 1952 in this car doing 108 miles an hour, which is pretty incredible. And of course, they didn't have roll bars back then, and they didn't have the fire suits that we wear now. They didn't have nearly the protection that we did. It has leaf springs in it, which it's a rough ride. It's kind of like driving a brick. The brakes aren't the best. It's got the original type of motor in it. It came with a 1250. The sidge has been bored out, so it's got a little more horsepower. It's got a cam in it and more compression. I phoned my son up. I said, Evan, what would you think about going racing? And he said, yeah. It was something we had never talked about. And we went and looked at this car and bought it. When I bought the car, I brought it home, I put it in my garage, and then the next morning, I came out and I looked at the car and I said to myself, are you crazy? You've never driven a race car? I thought, oh, well, maybe I can sell it again. No, Evan's pretty excited about this, so we carried on and had the best time of my life. Every time I did a faster lap, he ran out and bettered it, so.
1959 MGA. It has a vintage racing history in varac of probably 10-12 years, previously raced by David Holmes. I had MGs when I grew up. I had an MG in high school and through university, so I know the car. Had worked on them back in the day. The MG is, from a racing perspective, is a community. There's lots of people do it, and there's lots of support and help. It's been lightened. A lot of the interior metal and what was wood originally has been removed and replaced by aluminum. The engine has a slight overbore and has about 12.9 to 1 compression ratio. It's got a racing cam, racing pistons, racing connecting rods. The crankshaft is specially prepared. Varac's got a bit of a unique culture. I mean, it's an amateur culture, but it's, they run it like pros. It's about respect for the cars. I mean, as they say at drivers' meeting, anything that's been done with these cars, boys, has been done a long time before we have by better drivers. So we've got to remember that, and, that keeps it probably a little more fun and social than more competitive modern car racing.
This is a series production sports car, so it races against Triumphs and other MGs and older model Porsches. Alfa Romeos, we race against them, we race against Volvo 1800s. In an all-makes field, the MGBs in particular will generally be up at the front. It's the most sport lap record holder for MGs for all time, so it's a good quick car. They're easy to drive, they understeer, a basic understeering car, and you can push them hard because they don't have a huge amount of power. Suspension was a little bit of a buckboard, but we were able to work with it. They're quite light, responsive. The braking is a little antique because it's disc brakes on the front, drums on the rear, and so basically you have two front brakes and that's about it. But It pulls it down reasonably well. The steering is terrific. They were an advanced car for their time. They had a unit body. Remembering that these cars are 50 years old, quite astonishing. Varac is really North America's very best vintage racing club. There's probably 250 members in the club, of which 100 are active racers. Intense people, because this is their hobby and they care a lot about it. So very intense, but the racing is not breakneck racing. It's people can race at their own speed. They can race the racetrack or they can race their competitors as they like. And we're happy to have them all. Quite a few of the members bring their sons and daughters out, and they're good racers. It's nice to see our old timers being replaced by some young, enthusiastic people. It's good fun.